we getting it there? Are we on? Have we got it? Oh my gosh, how fun is this? Welcome. Oh, we got to turn our lights on. We didn't get our lights. Oh my gosh. Okay, lights, lights, lights. Oh. Hi guys. It's pretty exciting around here. We've got our first time streaming on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time. The switch is right there. You got it. Yay. Now we got all the switches on. This has been a major caffeinated day because we've all been so excited about doing a triple stream. We'll see how it works. I'm anxious to hear from you what you think, which way you're watching it. We'll be able to see that later, but welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm Leanne and I get to spend the next hour with you. How cool is that? We're going to have flower fun for 60 minutes. It's going to be grand. We've got so many things planned for you. Again, we're doing it on all three, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. If you are wanting bigger pictures, remember that on Facebook and YouTube, you can turn it sideways and get bigger. You can even go full screen. If you're on YouTube, you can connect it to your TV, go mega screen. If you're on Instagram, it's going to be vertical, so it's a little bit different. So on Instagram right now, I'm off-centered. You can see me here in all this space because I'm going to work on this side. If you're watching me on Facebook, you can see all this stuff. There's more here. If you're on Facebook, you can see these gorgeous succulents. On Instagram, I'll pull them over so you can see them now. But look at these. These were brought to us from mainland floral distributors. A friend of mine, Fred, he's up in Canada, Vancouver, BC, and he brought them down last week so that we had them at the creative retreat. And we used up, oh my gosh, flat after flat after flat. And then we had a few left over, so I brought them home, let the students use them in class. But aren't they beautiful? It's probably the nicest, most wonderful succulents I have ever seen. I think they are grand. So a huge shout out to Fred at Mainland for bringing those. And that's a perfect example so that you as on Instagram, you're seeing all of this. Facebook, YouTube, you got the other side as well. Today, we're going to have a recap of the creative retreat. I want to share with you some of the things we did, some of the fun we had, show you the different materials we worked with, do a shout out to all of our sponsors. And that's why I wanted to try and do it on all three platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So we've been scrambling around here. We've been so excited. In the studio with me is Jeff, handling all the technology. David's working from home today, monitoring, making sure that we are going live correctly. Carolyn's in here watching for your questions to shout out at me and let me know what's going on. Caledonia and Susie are both working off-site, monitoring YouTube and Facebook and greeting you. And you're here. Thanks for being here. Take a moment, introduce yourself, say, hi, I'm from Boise, Idaho, or maybe I'm from Washington, D.C., or I'm from New York, or I'm from Orlando. Where are you from? Meet your tribe, because this weekly hour is a collaboration. We all learn from each other, we all get together, we all meet, we all chat, and we all support each other. So make sure you get your tulip in there, let people know you're part of the tribe, and get to know each other. Now, as I'm going along, Carolyn, is there anything I should be talking about real quick, or are we all pretty much there?
We're good.
We're good? Okay, so we got people on, we're live?
Got people on, Gayla's on,
Oh,
Wayne Noel,
Gayla.
John Wallace.
Cool. So John was on the little preview when I was testing the phone earlier to see if it was all working. So glad you guys came back for the real show. We've got some fun today. We've got hydrangeas and mini hydrangeas, hypericum. Look at these tillandsia. These are from 50 Flowers. We had a few left over from the retreat. Had so much fun working with these. We used them in the centerpiece for the final night, as well as worked them in some of the demonstrations and the bouquets and such. But they are just huge, wonderful tillandsia. And 50 Flowers was generous enough to send these out so that we could work with them. And they mix so well with the succulents, giving that variation on the blue-green. Aren't they grand? Don't you love that? Tap the screen, show a little love if you like tillandsia. Shout out to 50 Flowers. If somebody will put their link in so that everybody can find them and tag them so they know we're talking about them. Because 50 Flowers, they were amazing. We wouldn't have made it without them. One of the other things that they did is they provided cotinus, or smoke bush. And cotinus or smoke bush is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful foliage that was used by several of the designers, but primarily by Carol Gillian. And she used it to do botanical couture and actually made an entire full-length dress out of the cotinus leaves. It was amazing. And I want to show you how that's done, so if you don't know the technique, you'll learn a little bit from this live. What you start with is a bit of fabric, which I've just got a white fabric so it'll show the leaves well, a little bit of fabric, and then you need your Oasis floral adhesive. Oasis was another one of our sponsors, so shout out to Smithers Oasis. Now the students, when they worked with it, creating their designs, they used the tubes. But ironically, both Carol Gillian and Francoise Weeks, who presented, they prefer to work with it in the can. So you might want to experiment, see which works better for you. Is it the can? Is it the tube? Which one is best? Oasis provided both so that the designers could work with this and the guests could work with this so that it was a little bit easier to distribute and pass out to everyone. But what Carol did is she took the cotinus and actually cut each individual leaf off, just like so. And Sandy Bacon, she was just a godsend. She worked side by side with Carol Gillian for 2 days, helping cut the leaves, helping get everything ready. Well, I cut these. Jeff, I believe there's a picture of Botanical Couture there that shows the models. Did we put one in there? No? Maybe not. Doesn't look like it. Nope. Oh, is there one? Okay. Maybe the one with the variegated pittosporum? The vest, the bustier?
Mm-hmm.
Is that there?
Yeah.
I think, let's see if we can get that to go on there and let people see. This was the models. The gowns were provided by Charlotte's Weddings. Huge shout out to Charlotte's Weddings because they helped us coordinate with models, hair, makeup, gowns, everything. Jerry Barr from Bella Blooms pulled it all together. And we had such great talent. It was wonderful. So you can see there in the picture the bustier. That was done with variegated pittosporum leaves, which were cut off in the same manner and then laid out to work with. The models could actually wear the clothing. It was very soft, pliable, easy to wear. It was just quite amazing to see how well it worked. And even 2 and 3 days later, it was still pliable, soft, and beautiful. So is it back to me now, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
Grand. Okay, so I've made a pile of these so that you can see. Then I was watching Sandy and Carol as they were working, and once they would have a pile, they would then lay them out kind of by size so that they were sorted to see whether they were bigger ones or smaller ones. And if there was a lot of difference, they didn't use them. Because if there's too much difference, it just doesn't look right. But there's variation in sizes, variation in shapes. So you can see how I'm just laying it out here. Does that show well on camera, Carolyn? Do I need to pull it back at all? Or?
Actually, yes, it does show well.
Cool, okay. You guys help me out because by trying to do this with multiple cameras and multiple streams, I am having to relearn how the studio is set and make things work. So if we can show you something a little better, let us know. And then Carolyn and Jeff just keep an eye on things and let me know if I need to change something. And David, you're out there watching. Let us know if something goes wrong because we got to do it right. Now the one thing with the cotinus that we found too, this cotinus is actually left over from 50 Flowers. They shipped it in last Friday, so Friday a week ago. Am I right? Friday a week ago? No. Am I off a week? Or is it 2 weeks ago? It had to be Friday 2 weeks ago, I think. No? I don't know. This is old. It came in quite a while ago, before the retreat. The retreat started on the 8th, so this arrived on the 6th. So this arrived on the 6th, and we found that if you cut it, dipped it in quick dip, and then put it in water, it held fabulously. So this is from the 6th, so we're at 12 days now. That's a long time for cotinus, and look how fabulous it still is. Pretty grand product from 50 Flowers. Very, very fabulous. Then once you have that, you take your glue, and a little trick with the glue, before you use it, if you'll take the tube and squish it a little bit, make it smaller, it won't ooze out quite as badly. Because you know we've all had that happen where it just oozes and it makes a mess and you're like, oh, I have glue everywhere, and it makes you kind of mad because you don't want the glue everywhere. Then just a bit of glue, not too much, it takes very little. And do one at a time. Lay them out. So it's very tedious, very, very, very time consuming, but oh so worth it, oh so worth it. Then letting it dry. Carol flew in from Texas to teach this workshop. And Carol's actually a graduate of ours and a floral artist. She's been published in so many different magazines. She does an amazing job. She took our basic program, our advanced program, and our wedding floral specialist program, and then found her personal inspiration to come out with her own personal style. And Botanical Couture was where she found her calling. She's just amazing with her skills there. So then once I have these set, you just glue them directly down to the fabric, light pressure, overlapping them. And then as you go, so you go the whole direction, then stop and fish scale. Bringing the next ones in. As soon as I get a couple more on here, I'll show you. I'll lift it up. If you get glue on your fingers, it gets on the leaves and you have to pull it off and start over because you don't want any glue to show. None at all. And you can see how that's starting to create a pattern showing off there. So it's just gorgeous. And by putting it against the white, you can really see how the scallop is on the bottom. And Carol would just mold it to the body. It was amazing how it pulled together. So she did a full dress with this. Then it was enhanced with Macara orchids, also from 50 Flowers. And once she had the dress done, then she went back and she created an entire bustier, which that was what they showed the picture of, with variegated pittosporum leaves from florabundance.com. Florabundance provided us some amazing garland that we used at the final night dinner. I'll show you a picture of that later. And then we also had so many different flowers from them, different things that just paired in. And we worked and worked and worked and worked. It was so grand. Now another one that used the Oasis Floral Adhesive was Francoise Weeks. And Francoise Weeks taught a program on woodland design. And I'm going to grab a container so that I can talk about it. I'm just going to scooch over here a second. She used a small tray from the Oasis company, and then she brought in her own wood because she wanted to have very textural, gnarled pieces that worked out well. And then we collected so many different woodland treasures. So we had birch that was actually cut from Teacher Michelle's yard, lots of lichen-covered branches. You can see how grand that is. Then a variety of different pine cones, fir cones, some little tiny baby cones, some hemlock, so many different varieties. And then we had curled bark that we could work in, and then the succulents from mainland. And as Francoise worked with the guests, she would pull it apart, maybe she'd cut it, determine how best to work with it, basically taking Mother Nature and enhancing, maybe bringing it, inserting it into the foam, and then bringing it and hooking it over through the branch so it just curls around. Taking another piece, letting it curl around the front. And you know, I think I'm going to take that one and actually break it there. I'm going to cut that off because I like the way this comes in. And then bringing this one out over towards the back. Because as she was working, everything was full-sided. There wasn't a front and a back. No matter where you looked, it was exquisite. And you could take whatever pieces spoke to you. So we had boxes upon boxes upon boxes of really fabulous bindings to work with. I even collected some buckeyes because they're one of my favorite things, and they grow right here in my neighborhood. And there's a tree just down the way from me. And I stopped every night and I would go and grab them as they fell, because they fell right at dusk. And so I'd go in and I'd grab them and bring them home. And then I took a big box of them to the retreat so that everybody could work with them. So then I've got an 18 gauge wire that I'm taping. And then I'll cut this. And I can use that to anchor this down in, just like so. Go back and grab him. He doesn't want to stay. Maybe if I slide him under a little more. Then maybe taking another piece, wrapping it around the pine cone, tucking that in place. So you can see I'm just showing you things from 2 designers so far. And we had 6 designers on site doing amazing things. To hold that in place, I think I'll grab a little bit of U-glue. Maybe you saw our Tulip Tuesday yesterday where we showed you some tips for working with U-glue. If you don't get our Tulip Tuesday, just subscribe to the newsletter and then you'll get those updates. They're just quick tips for the floral professional. They're all very, very short, sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 1 minute. But it's just tips to make things easier for the floral professional. So this week's was a tip on how to work with U-glue, making your life a little bit more comfortable and easier. But you can see how that just slid in and everything fits together there. So thank you so much to Oasis Company for providing the glues and such. Now I could take one of the tillandsias and set that down in. Would that be fun? Oh my gosh. Thank you, 50 Flowers. Oh my, look at that. I'm gonna let it whirl around there. Then if I turn that, you can see how it looks good from all sides. We want to keep that. Now, do you like that? Do you think that's cool? If you like the Woodland design, if you like what Francoise Weeks was teaching, tap the screen, share the love, pass that on, make sure everybody knows, and shout out to Oasis for that. Then, can't just stop with a tillandsia. This is where I want to tuck in maybe some of the succulents. The donkey tail would be fun. Cleaning it out a little bit. And I think I can just wedge it with the pot and everything right down in here. Not quite. Maybe if I cut a little bit of my foam out. Cut out just a little bit. You can even take it out of the pot. Slide that right in. Now I could cut it and glue it, but this time I wanted to keep it intact. Isn't that lovely, the way that just sets down in there? Gives that beautiful draping. I could bring another one over to the opposite side, tucking in, letting it add color. Maybe doing two back here. The succulents are so lovely. I'm a big fan of succulents and tillandsia both. See how that tucks in there? Just finishes it off. I love that. If this was me, I'd be tap, 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 because I think it's so much fun. So beautiful.
You are getting all kinds of love on this.
Are they liking this
They're
one?
liking this one.
Well,
I have a great question from Karen on how to anchor the Tislandia so it doesn't jump out.
this tillandsia, this time I just set it there, but if I was working with this for real, if I was going to deliver this, I would take an 18 gauge wire and tape it. Okay? And you could glue it as well, but I would do more than likely a taped wire, so just like I'm doing right now. And I should do the mechanics correctly. So thanks for calling me on that, Karen, because I did just perch it there and you saw that. So good job. Don't let me get away with anything. You got to make me earn my keep here. So I'm going to pull this back out. Then what I would do is just weave it around some of the fronds. Then twist the two ends of the wire together, creating dog legs, that then those can go down into the foam. Cut. And then anchor that into the foam. Of course, it won't ever look the same way again because every time the fronds go a little differently. But that's what makes floral design so much fun, is you never do the same thing twice. It's always different. And when you see the pictures that we have, oh my gosh, it's just so much fun. But I'm not going to show you that yet because I want to get a little bit further along here. I got to tease you for a second. So there you go, Karen. That's how I would anchor that in place. It's just with an 18 gauge wire taped and then placed in. Get more of my caffeine going because, oh my gosh, I have so much to share with you today. Keep my table cleared because I want to make sure you can see. These roses, golden mustard, they're from Alexandra Farms and Garden Roses Direct. They provided more than 1,400 stems. You heard me, 1400. 1,400 stems of garden roses so that the guests could have as many as they wanted to work with. We had ample for everything. The generosity, oh, so fragrant, was just wonderful. And I can just set these in then, maybe a little bit shorter, into the wet foam so that they'll keep drinking. And when we did this, we made this particular arrangement on Monday of the retreat. And when we did the strike on Thursday and it was over, they still looked beautiful because they're so close to the water source. They don't dehydrate so quickly. And they were opening out just gorgeous. They were so lovely. Maybe grouping 3 over here and then bringing 2 around to the other side, because you always want it 2-sided. You don't want to forget. Got to keep it looking great from everywhere. But Alexandra Farms and Garden Roses Direct, they were so generous with the roses. When I said, gee, this is what I would like, and I asked for 1,400, I thought, oh, they're going to tell me no. But they just said, sure. What size stem would you like? Do they need to be long, short? And they provided. What do you think? Do you like that? I do. I love that a lot. I'm going to put in another one right here. Draw the color across. Because every time you design, you want to think about your elements and principles, the unity, that it all stays good together. maybe a little bit of the smoke bush. Tucking this in. Adding the depth of color down here at the bottom. And then adding depth and pulling your eye through to the opposite side. Never making, one spot in one place and then not carrying it through. Don't want to do that. You always want to finish it off. Now, I'm going to stop on this one because I have so much more I want to share with you. But I do have one more thing to show you, and that is how we displayed these. This was amazing. We had Harlow stands from Accent Decor. They provided a stand for each and every person. This is what the Harlow stand looks like. They're big, you can see. And this is the small one. They actually provided both small and large, so we could choose and display and make it work out nicely. So we took the stands and set them out, and then each of the arrangements went on the stand. So I'm going to set this one right here for a moment, and then I'm going to get the taller one. Look how tall this is. What, 48 inches maybe? This is one big boy. It's so big. And so then the arrangements were displayed upon the Harlow stands. Don't they look great that way? They really look wonderful. Jeff, I think you have a picture of the Gordon house. Is that up there? Cool. So the Gordon house is designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. It's a beautiful home, and it's right adjacent to the Oregon Garden Resorts. So when we were finished designing in the Oregon Garden, we took the arrangements over to the Gordon house and did a full installation, which was then open to the public to come and see. And you can see how beautiful it looks on this. So thanks to Accent Decor for coordinating those stands, because they were perfect on the home. We couldn't have done it without you. There was nothing better than those stands at the Gordon house. And each individual arrangement looks spectacular. They were displayed so well. Then we had 50 people at the home that day for a cocktail party. It was so grand. Piano playing. It was actually partly sunny. It didn't rain on us that night. It was so beautiful. And you could see from that picture just how lovely. But the Harlow stands, super perfect. And you can see how this works so well. So the two techniques that we learned Sunday was how to do Botanical couture, and that was with the Oasis glue. Thanks, Oasis. Then how to do the Woodland design, the Carol Jillian, Francois Weeks, and I don't even do it justice. They did so much more, way beyond you can even imagine, but gives you a kind of a feel for what you missed. Hopefully you can join us next year. I think the retreat is going to be something that we truly love to do. Now, we had a team of people that made this happen. Sandy was standing right beside Carol Jillian, gluing leaves, cutting. Karina, right there, helping out. Gayla, Wendy, couldn't have done it without you. And then Karen wasn't there at that beginning part, but Karen, oh my gosh, you were there at the end helping us strike everything, get it out of there. You know, you five were just amazing on how hard you worked to help make the retreat a success for everybody. And then Ben and Jeremy, both graduates of our school, both certified floral designers, both running their own businesses, took the entire time off and came and worked every day, day and night, non-stop, to make sure that it all worked out okay. So thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jeremy. You made it happen. And then lastly, the other support person that kept my sanity, kept me on track, and helped David and I make sure that everything was together is Susie, who is doing our live right now. Susie, thank you. I think you're in LA picking up your mom, getting ready to go on a vacation, but thanks for joining us live, and thanks for helping us out at the retreat, because you truly made a difference. Couldn't have done it without you. Now I wanted to show you some more of the things that we had. Juliet roses. These were from Alexandra Farms. Garden Roses Direct helped with that. And they too, exquisite. So on the next day of the workshop, We had Katie Davis from Ponderosa and Thyme and Brenna Kwan, who both did bridal bouquets. And then students had all these great flowers to work with, plus the roses to fill in with. Florabundance.com helped provide the accessory items. We had some seeded eucalyptus, we had different foliages, we had so many things. And then there was Oregon flowers. Oh, the callas and the lilies and the sedum that Oregon Flowers provided, they made everything just fabulous. I can't express to you exactly how grand it all was. It was way beyond my greatest expectations and greatest vision. I would never have guessed just how fabulous it could be. And both Brenna and Katie taught bouquets and taught different techniques to create the designs. And then afterwards, the guests created their own bouquets, following the inspiration of the two exceptional teachers, using the grand flowers from Florabundance and 50 Flowers and Alexandra Roses and Garden Roses Direct and Oregon Flowers. And I mean, oh my gosh, there was just beyond belief. They could go and gather their flowers. The guests could pick what they wanted to work with. We just had buckets upon buckets upon buckets of things to choose from. So you weren't limited to, oh, you have to use this flower. You could say, ooh, I prefer to use this flower. And you could. And Jeremy, one of our facilitators, he is part owner of Pollinate Flowers. And he brought in a whole assortment of beautiful flowers. And I know Katie went bonkers when she saw your mint. That was her favorite thing in the whole wide world. We could have done without everything else. She wanted your mint so bad. And her mint was perfect in your bouquets. Absolutely wonderful. And Brenna was quick to snag the purple calla lilies from Oregon Flowers because she thought those were the best things ever. And used those in her bouquet so that it was grand. Stripping things down so that it's ready to work with, grabbing the roses, removing the thorns, making sure that I don't poke myself. Now, as I'm prepping these things, if there's any questions out there that I should be dealing with, and let me know who's here, what's going on. Kind of fun.
Well, on YouTube, we have Tess from Sweden, one of our online students.
Hi, Tess.
Marmac is on.
Hi, Mar.
And on Facebook, Sandy Bacon, Karen Chandler, Kelly Krause.
Kelly was at the retreat. Karen, thank you. Sandy, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Oh my gosh. Kelly, it was fun to have you here. It was kind of fun. You know, we get to know you all, and then you're out of our life, and then you get to come back, and it just makes it pretty special. The tribe sticks together. Love that. So Jeff, I know you've got some other pictures there. Do we have anything of bridal bouquets in there? I don't remember.
I don't see one. I see the Francois Weeks.
Well, why don't you show them Francois' picture? Because we talked about that, and then I didn't show the one that we have of that. Here's a picture that you can see how Francois worked with the things, the inspiration, but the guests then interpreted the design so that they could choose how to take her teachings and personalize it, which is pretty grand. Yeah. I think you've got Foxy there too, our mascot. Foxy stayed the entire time. She's the most wonderful dog in the whole wide world. She belongs to teacher Marisa, and you can see her there with her flower collar. So that was very fun. And people always say, well, what do you do with all the things when you're done? You know, we made sure that everything had another life. We didn't want to waste anything because we had so much generosity. So what we did, we had flowers for all the guests so that you could use whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, however you wanted. The designers had plenty to work with so they didn't feel like they had to scrimp. They could just go ahead and design away and make beauty. But then after it was over, we took all of the leftover arrangements, things that people were flying home and couldn't take with them, or that was more than what they could handle, And we had the Bloom Project come in. The Bloom Project is a nonprofit right here in Portland, Oregon, that repurposes flowers and then takes them out to nursing homes, hospice patients, those in need. If they have an abundance, they'll go out with Meals on Wheels, but hospice is their first, and then they expand from there. So on Thursday, when we were done with the retreat, they came in and picked up everything that was left over and took it out so that it was shared with people again, so that the public had access to all the beauty that we as floral professionals take for granted sometimes because we have it all the time, but there are those that don't, that they don't get flowers. So we made sure that everything was repurposed. Other things that weren't appropriate, maybe they were too big, maybe they just didn't work to take to someone in hospice, those we took and we displayed in the garden, at the Oregon Garden and at the Oregon Garden Resort, so that the public could have access and see the beauty and see what florists are capable of doing. Because sometimes we work so hard to impress ourselves and to show off to ourselves that we sort of forget that the public is who we really need to be sharing this with. So we made sure that all the product went ahead. And then when we could, we would repurpose even within our own time. So like if one arrangement was done and it had a lot of big things in it, we would take it apart and make more things out of it. So like the Harlow stands, we used those twice. We used them at the Gordon House. I showed you that picture. And then we also used them at the final night. It was beautiful. I think we've got a picture of the final night in there. They would love to see that. That's so beautiful. You can see here, we've got the Harlow stands on farm tables that were provided by Danner and Stoley, a beautiful rental company. They came and they provided so many rental items for the photo shoots so that we could share that. Can't wait to get all those pictures back. It's going to be so fun to let everybody see. But we had Danner and Stoley's farm tables, then the Harlow stands from Accent Decor, then it was topped with garland from florabundance.com, and then we just filled it in with all the flowers from all the different people. So Alexandra Farms, Garden Roses Direct, Oregon Flowers, 50 Flowers, all of that we just filled in with all these different varieties so that you could see how beautiful that was. And that team that finished the final night flowers, that was everybody. We did it as a collaborative effort of the Tulip Tribe, and the team and tribe was led by Shane, who was one of our presenters, and he helped the guests all go through and get that together and be absolutely stunning and beautiful. I can't explain to you in words just how magical this was. It takes pictures, it takes flowers, and it takes the entire tribe. Because if it wasn't for everybody, it couldn't have happened. I mean, I think about the models coming in 2 different days to work with our designers and the photographer, and then the joy that we got so many gorgeous images that everybody will have access to so that they can use them for collateral on their own pages, in their websites, on their feeds. We had the generosity of a fabulous, fabulous photographer. Jeff Day Photography was there every single day and caught some of the most spectacular images. You know, oh, Jeff, we have to show them this. The swing photo. This was done by Shane Meehan and the entire tribe. It was a collaborative design. He built this sculpture in the tree. It's in the old Oak Grove forest at the Oregon Garden. And then everybody that was there together contributed to making this. Then Katie Davis joined us as a model so that she sat on the swing. You can see that dress matched the designs perfectly. The shoes matched, her hair matched. She was just a vision, and Jeff Day was able to get a perfect photograph for that. So I was just blown away. So you can see the quality of work that was done at the retreat, the diversity. Going ahead and just now starting this bouquet using a spiral technique. Both Katie and Brenna did some of their work using spirals, And it works so well because you can get your flowers right where you want them. You just tuck them in your hand and then bring it around. Each had their own techniques that they shared, and each of the guests got to practice them. Practice designing, using the technique that Katie used or using the technique that Brenna used, adding in beautiful flowers. And having so many fabulous flowers to work with made it fun and easy. The Juliet roses, don't you love them? Oh, I can't imagine having to do this without beautiful sponsors and supporters that help us make everything work. Now, if you've got questions, type them in. We've got a little bit longer to share with you, but I want to make sure we get everything answered. If you want to know something, if you want to know what's going on, I know my students were disappointed because they're in class today. We've got class that started Monday, so they'll have to watch the live on replay. They don't get to watch it live because they're working with teacher Marisa today, learning all kinds of things. Teacher Michelle is in Florida today. She is attending the Society of American Florists Convention on Amelia Island, and she is going to be representing us because all of our partners and sponsors are there, so she'll be chatting with them and sharing what we did, showing them the pictures. And then also, she's being inducted into the Professional Floral Communicators International. Yes, she passed her testing, and she is now officially PFCI. So we are so proud of her. So she's back in Florida doing that. Marisa's in the classroom with the students. And then the rest of us are here online with you, making sure that we share all the love and passion that we've had over the last week, so that you don't feel like you totally missed out. I mean, maybe you couldn't join us in person, but you can see what we did, join us live, and learn a little bit about it. See how the flowers just are so grand together? Carolyn, what's going on?
So Brenna joined us on Facebook.
Hi,
So
Brenna.
She's here with us. And then several of our watchers on YouTube, they also give back to the community. Marmac takes her leftovers and donates them to first responders.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then we had someone else, I'm so sorry I forgot your name. She collects coffee mugs and uses her extra flowers and donates coffee mugs.
Oh, great. You know, that's a good question for you all. How do you repurpose your materials? Because we all have a responsibility to respect the product and to support the community that we're in. How do you give back? I'm glad some of you already started filling that in, because that's a great question. How do you give back? Now, Brenna, I know you're getting ready to head to Florida too, where you're competing in the Sylvia Cup. It's the 51st annual Sylvia Cup. It's one of the longest running design competitions in the world. And she is going to compete, and that'll be so exciting. Michelle is there, so you'll see her. You can see how my bouquet is coming together. I'm going to add some fatsia leaves, creating a collar around and just spiraling. You can see it's easy to make a beautiful bouquet when you have beautiful product. Carolyn?
Well, on Instagram Live, we've got several people joining us, but two designers popped up and caught my attention. They're both brand new floral designers from Iran.
Oh, how interesting. Thanks for joining us. So you're my very first Instagram live stream. We've always done this with Facebook, then we added YouTube, and now today, for the first time ever, we've added in Instagram, and we're very excited about it. Love to hear your thoughts. Do you like having the choices at the different platforms? Does it matter to you? Do you have a favorite one? How do you like to work with it? Now next week we'll be live again, and then I get to go to Montana and teach 2 workshops there. So if you're from Montana and you haven't had a workshop with me, this could be your chance. I'll be in Missoula. You would want to contact Montana State Florist Association, see if there's space available. But I will be in Missoula teaching 2 hands-on workshops. And I believe Patience Pickner is also doing a program. And it's going to be, we're going to have a program on social media as well. So lots and lots of fun educational opportunity if you're in the Montana area to join us and be part of that community. Carolyn.
Then Lynn from Instagram is curious, how far in advance would you make this bouquet for a weekend event?
That's a great question. If this was for a weekend event and I was doing it natural hand tie like this with the long stems and everything, as long as you have refrigeration, you could make this up on Wednesday or Thursday without any problem. Cut the stems, put it in water, stick it in your refrigeration, and then as the time comes close, that's when you take it out and you get ready to use it. But there's no reason that you can't do it ahead of time. So now I'm going to cut this down a little bit. I don't need this much stemming. So, Jeff, do we have any other pictures there that I should show while I cut?
Got Jenny's.
Oh, let's bring Jenny up. Oh my gosh. This bouquet was stunning. It has many of the flowers from Oregon Flowers in it. Oregon Flowers has sedum and lilies and callas, and then it also has Macara orchids from 50 Flowers in it. So it was a nice mixture of things. And then the curly willow was from Barefoot Farms. A huge shout out to Linda DePersis, because if it wasn't for Linda, we were going to have a little willow disaster. So she saved us because she chopped down an entire tree and brought it in, and Jenny just went bonkers over it so that it was just the best. Now, I've cut this and I'm standing it up. Do I look semi-straight there, Carolyn? Do you think I look okay? I hate to be too crooked.
It's a little tip.
A little?
A little to your right. So maybe turn your left, I'm sorry, forward.
There we go, sorta.
Keep going a little more.
A little bit
There.
more?
Yes, right there.
Because what I would like to do is have it stand by itself, and then I want to go back and add in some tillandsia. Wouldn't that be pretty in there? Since we had this left over from 50 Flowers, I was like, oh, we have to use it. And I'm just going to pull off some of the tendrils, because we can use those separately. So I'm pulling off tendrils, breaking it down. I want to get to a smaller bloom. There we go. So if it still looks crooked, guys, it's okay. We're going to get to that. Don't worry about it. It might be a little crooked, but I'm not going to lose my sleep over that right now. Right now I just want to get the tillandsia pared down a little bit. That's the beauty of tillandsia. You can break it apart. So when you buy one, you might use one portion for one design and another portion for another design. So it gives you really great value. You don't have to use it all at once. Now, I've got that pared down. Yes. Then using some of the Oasis Floral adhesive, just putting glue on the base and about the side, up a little bit. And tillandsia is going to last and last and last and last. So the people will be loving this. Even after the flowers have faded, they can pull the tillandsia out and save it as a memory. And as long as they keep it misted, it'll live forever. It's an air plant. So it really super long lasting. So I just pull the tendrils up because I don't want to get glue on them. And then I slide it down in to the bouquet and then let the tendrils come out. Oh, you're going to love it when I turn it around so you can see. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Then I could go back with some of my tendrils, line them up in my hands, So I'm just stacking them. Looking to see what tools I have here. Ah, there it is. I've got a stapler. Now that I've stacked them, I just staple them. Then I don't want it to be this heavy, so I'm going to clip off the end. You don't need that. Clip that out, clip that out. Then a little bit of glue on here. So that bouquet that Jeff had up of Jenny's, that was one of a series of pieces that she did. She did a hanging chandelier, she did the bouquet, she did a coffee table of flowers. It was just, I know you're saying, what, a coffee table? It was stunning. So I brought that around there now, just tucking it in. So once you do a spiral bouquet and you get that set, maybe you want to clip something out. That's something I learned from Katie, is don't be afraid to go back when you're done and clip something out. Maybe it's heavy in one spot, maybe it just doesn't look right. Clip it out, remove it so that it doesn't become a problem. And I thought, that's smart. Sometimes we forget that it's okay to reach in, prune out a piece so that you can see other parts. Now that I've got the tillandsia in there and the roses and such, I also want to add some of the succulents because I think that would be so pretty in there. So just taking the succulent and cutting it off. I know, I'm cutting it off. If you're a plant lover, that might make you squirm a little bit, but that's going to be the most beautiful addition to this design. Just a little bit of glue.
You're getting lots and lots of love on this bouquet.
This is the type of thing that we love to do at the Creative Retreat. We bring in cool products, things that you maybe don't get to work with all the time. Garden roses, tillandsia, succulents, calla lilies, sedum, lilies, garlands, magnolias, so many different things. And then we bring in teachers that are the best of what they do. This year it was Carol Gillian, Francoise Weeks, Brenna Kwan, Katie Davis, Jenny Thomason, and Shane Meehan. 6 amazing floral artists who were there just to share with you. And it's a very intimate, hands-on, loving, supportive time with your tribe. So now, on this hour, I'm sharing with you a little bit of what we did. The difference is we're from afar. We have to go through a camera, and you have to listen, and I have to have Carolyn tell me what you say. But it's better than nothing. We didn't used to have this technology. Now with technology, we can share worldwide with you from Sweden, with you from Iran, with you from England, from Scotland, from all over. And then maybe you can come join us next year at the Oregon Garden Resort. Come and play. Join your tribe. See how it tucks right in there? How beautiful that is. Just supported by other things. And I wanted to show you. Let's see. I'm just going to set that aside a little bit. You know what I'm going to do. Oh, how perfect is this? I'm going to take the Harlow stand from Accent Decor, move my stems off the floor so it'll sit flat. These stands are so perfect for everything. I'm just going to take the bouquet and slide it through and let it just sit there. How does that look? Does that look kind of cool? Is that fun? Oh my gosh, I love that. So we had so much fun at the retreat. So much fun. Jeff, if you bring up the final night one more time, let's look at that for a second. Okay, so the final night, we had the collaboration with our guests where everybody got to help make that beautiful table setting. Danner and Stoley provided the tables. Then, go ahead and bring it back to me. Then we had a wine and chat, because every evening we had an hour of just casual conversation with the floral artist and the guests. So that night it was Shane and Jenny doing a chat with the guests about their designs and what they did. It's just a casual, intimate, sit down, have a glass of wine, and get to know each other. Then when that was done, the tram picked everybody up at the resort and then drove them down to the grand hall where it was all decorated, all ready to go. And David and I were there waiting to meet everybody. And as they arrived, we had these scarves. We had David design them. Say Floral Design Institute on the bottom, and then they've got the tulips throughout. And everybody, as they came, we just added. And some people would wear it draped, others would take it and wrap it around. Some people tied it in bows. You could have it however you wanted, but the Tulip Tribe scarves were just grand. And then, because I love scarves, I wear a scarf almost every day, so that's why scarves were kind of appropriate. Scarves, and maybe next year we'll have to do coffee cups, because that's kind of my thing, is I need coffee and scarves, and then I'm a happy girl. But Gayla sent me a package. It came in the mail yesterday. And Gayla worked side by side with us from days before the retreat, clear through. She was amazing. She's a graduate of ours. She lives here locally. And she is also a textile artist. So while we were at the retreat, she was out foraging, picking up leaves, finding cool things. And then as she went home, she created this absolutely amazing scarf with leaves that she foraged at the Gordon House and at the Oregon Garden Resort. Look how beautiful. Turn this around. Got to drape this over correctly so you can see. Isn't that grand? All hand done, printed from leaves picked up at the retreat. This is going to be something I'm going to treasure for years because it's a memory of what was, and it shows me how even fallen leaves that are on the ground have another life. The Tulip Tribe can take them, continue on, add new fabulous things. You know? But it wouldn't happen without the team. My gosh. The team worked so hard. It was a lot of work. Marisa, Carolyn, Michelle, Anna, Jerry, and Shell, the 6 of them worked tirelessly. I don't know that anybody got more than 4 hours of sleep a night because they were constantly trying to make sure everything was perfect. Ben and Jeremy and Susie kept us all on task, kept everything working. I learned something new. We need a pickup truck. Thank you, Jeremy, for having your pickup truck there. Little did I know how important that was going to be. We had a big truck. We had a really big truck. And we had a car. Susie was shuttling people back and forth. But the pickup truck was a necessity. So thank you, Jeremy. And then Wendy, Gayla, Karina, oh my gosh, Karina came here all the way from Australia. And she came in early and she too worked side by side. She was right there with Carol Jillian helping make sure everything worked. And then brought me some beautiful note cards from Australia. They are so beautiful. I love them. So I've been using those and looking at them and just sitting back and reminiscing on how grand the tribe is. Kelly was there, Joy was there, and I'm not going to list all the names because I'll never remember them all. But lastly, I do want to say a special shout out to Wendy, because Wendy, she was the brave one. I drove this huge truck. I mean, it was enormous, great big refrigerated truck. And she was riding shotgun with me. She wasn't afraid to get in that truck, and she kept eyes out for me, helped me navigate my way here and there. So thank you, Wendy. Again, couldn't do it without. Now, as you can see, so many things. The Harlow stands, the Oasis glue. But there's one more thing that I want to share with you. One more gift that each of our paid registrants, each of you that paid to be there, that joined us, that gave of your time and your money, got one more gift to share with each of you. You know, we had the retreat. You've got your book to keep and look at that reminds you of all the fun you had. We've got the Harlow stands that you were able to take. and be able to take home and use. But now, you have one more gift on its way to you, so to you. I'm going to be shipping these out next week. We'll get them out next week. But the Oasis company provided a toolkit to each of you, so that now that you have your new skills, your new talents, your new inspiration, David and I and the Floral Design Institute and the Oasis company want you to have new tools so that you can begin and have a fresh start with all these new inspirations and talents and skills. So we'll get those out to you next week, and you'll have that to look forward to. And yes, Karina, we're even going to ship it to Australia. We can't leave you out, so we'll get them out to everybody so that you've got that. And every time you use that knife or you use that clipper or you put an apron on, I want you to remember all the fun you had, the creative retreat at the Oregon Garden Resort. Remember how important the tribe is to your success and your happiness, because we all support each other. We all are better together. And I just want to say thank you. Those of you that could join us in person, grand. If you couldn't join us in person, last week's live was at the resort, so you could watch last week's live and see a little bit behind the scenes. And now you saw a little bit about our sponsors. And if you have an opportunity to purchase from the sponsors, please do. And if you don't purchase, at least say thank you, because if it wasn't for them, we couldn't have had this happen. And now, a thank you to you for joining us on our first ever triple live, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe it. And I want to go back and kind of look at it and see what it looks like on the different platforms, because it is different. Instagram is vertical, YouTube and Facebook horizontal. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Caledonia. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, David. And see you all next week. We'll be live again Wednesday at 3. We'll see if we can do a triple. Did I get all the sponsors, Carolyn? Did I catch them all? I think I did.
Florist review.
Oh, whoa, the biggest and most important one. Don't leave yet. Florist Review is running an entire story. They were there. Yay, Travis. Yay, Cheryl. Yay, Tana Lee. Tana Lee helped out with the social media panel discussion. She was brilliant, a huge help. And now they're preparing a story about the retreat, and pictures of your work and pictures of the event will be in the December issue. So if you don't subscribe to Florist Review, make sure you do now, because you're going to want to see the story. I can't wait. I know they're going to write a great article about it and have so much more in there. Then Mainland. Oh, I mentioned Mainland was the succulents. So that one was at the very beginning. I had a list to make sure that I didn't forget anybody.
Flower Power?
Flower Power is a hashtag that Bloom Project uses. So Flower Power, if you want to see what Bloom Project does, just go hashtag Flower Power and you'll see that. If you want to see more, check out our Instagram feed, check out the Facebook feed. We've got it all in there. And for now, I'm going to say goodbye because it's been a little over an hour. But thanks for sharing your time with me. Thanks for giving us your Wednesday. Now get out there, do something you love, and see you next week. So now we just got to turn all the buttons off. They're so much fun.
Instagram goes off automatically. It went off like at 3:59, 4 o'clock.